Hi everybody, this is Raven here in Phoenix, Arizona, and today's discussion, how and why ratings do harm, is way long overdue. I've been meaning to do this for a long time and never got to it because there was other stuff that I needed to do first. Like when I first started my channel, I needed to address things about Trip and spent some time on that. But what I'm wondering to start is like, and now I'm starting to see some other people who get this, but I felt for a long time, why am I the only person thinking about this and wanting to discuss it on video, and I never got to it. Okay, so ratings. This is something I've just instinctively known since I first started driving for these app companies. And that's that, for starters, ratings are about the person who's doing the rating. And the ratings tell a story about the person doing the rating, not necessarily the person being rated. On an individual basis, they are telling a story about the person that does the rating. In the long run, they might be telling a story about the person that's being rated. But let me back up a second and explain where I'm going with this. Okay. The reality is ratings are about data collection. Okay. They are about putting together a story of a person's behavioral patterns and tendencies. And when the time comes, if it's not being done already, because, I mean, well, it might be further along now, but my original thought on this, as soon as the applications are available to make use of this data, Uber and Lyft will be selling that information. And I got validated the other day. Like every couple of weeks, I go out to lunch with my dad. My dad is an Uber Black partner, and he was able to become an Uber Black partner because he previously held an ExecuCar franchise, and Uber pretty much has killed them since. But when Uber first came to town, their focus was the Black division, and they approached all those high-end drivers. So my dad's been in the loop from the beginning, and he didn't initially get involved, but about a year and a half ago, somebody offered their position, and he bought it. And I'll tell you what, wasn't worth anywhere near what the ExecuCar franchise was worth. But that's a whole other story. Okay, so I was having lunch with him, and he was, we talk shop, and my mother gets so annoyed when we're talking shop when we're in the house together. But we were talking shop, and he was like, yeah, I had a guy the other day who was traveling with his elderly mother and was trying to explain what Uber is about. And what he said, this passenger, to his mother in my dad's car, was, Uber makes their money by selling data. And I was just like, wow, that is so validating, that this is what I have always believed what the ratings were about, collecting data. I mean, he's talking about it on a much bigger scale, but basically that statement validates everything that I have felt about the rating situation. Okay, I mean, if you guys don't know about it, right now in China, there's something that's called social classification. And this has been accomplished by collecting data on their countrymen. The typical average family. And by collecting this data, they have been able to classify people as whatever they classify them. Well, this is a good person. This person is good sometimes and can be an asshole at other times, or this person is an asshole. And these people we're not going to allow to travel. These people we're not going to allow to buy consumer products, yada, yada, yada. Okay? Basically, what it's doing is it is creating a situation where people can be penalized for certain behaviors, opinions, political leanings, yada, yada, yada. Okay? So, in the context of Uber and Lyft, what ratings do is it tells a story about what kind of an attitude you have. Whether you're somebody that sees the good in people, whether you're somebody who is a constant complainer, and that is your pattern, that you complain about everything, that you find the worst in everybody in every situation. Or whether you're somebody that has better things to do. I've always said that people that don't rate drivers don't rate them because they have better things to do. They have a life, and if they think the driver did a good job, they'll give them a tip. And that's how those people talk. Okay, but I think that people who are rating drivers, particularly people that show a pattern of rating drivers badly, which of course we don't see that pattern, but Uber and Lyft has the data on those kind of patterns, and that's exactly what is something that they can sell. And here I am again, forgetting. I have a really bad short-term memory. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. Okay, so another thing that I've always seen, and this is largely because, as everybody knows, when we get a bad rating and or a complaint, we do not know where it came from, who it came from, okay, which does not help us to learn and improve. If it was really legitimate, and ironically, most of the time these complaints aren't legitimate anyway, or we would know exactly what it was. I mean, to some extent we do, but then again, we can't really be sure because how we interpret the trip may be different from how somebody's lying about it, or blowing it out of proportion, let's say. So yeah, I mean, I have always defaulted my riders to 5 stars because they're my passengers, they're my business, they're my income. And I have been doing this for almost 30 years and learned a long time ago my job is to deal with people's problems, and that's what I do. So why am I rating somebody, why would I rate somebody down, unless they're seriously, have committed a crime against me, or have really done something seriously mean and vindictive or uncalled for. Let's say somebody, sneaks a beer in the back of the car. You know, there's a group of people and somebody sneaks a beer in, and then the next thing you know, they're throwing the bottle out the window. Oh yeah, that's a reason to mark a passenger down on their ratings. Um, but something like, oh, they ate their takeout food in my car and spilled ketchup on the floor. Well, that really sucks, but this is part of the job. Um, so yeah, so I don't rate my passengers, and I had a conversation with Uber personnel recently about this, and he explained you got to rate because uh, because when a passenger or a driver puts in a report, we look at the history of everyone to try to determine um, who, whether somebody has a history of complaining about stuff, that's an indication of a false report, or whether this is like an isolated situation that we better look at as real. Okay, and that made sense to me. Okay, because before that, I never understood why am I rating my passengers, particularly when I've heard a list of reasons why drivers do mark down ratings that I thought was unreasonable. Um, so yeah, this makes sense. And I still won't rate my passengers because it makes me uncomfortable. Because no matter what Uber tells you, oh, don't worry, nobody knows who rates who. Well, come on. I mean, I do 100 rides a week, and those passengers do what? 4 Ubers a week, maybe? Okay, these people are going to know which driver marked them down. Or maybe they're just as baffled as we are. Because it's like, well, what did I do when I mark somebody down for something like they were listening to audio on their phone in the car? That's a real pet peeve of mine. Keep your phone to yourself. If you need to talk to somebody on the phone, I don't care. But I don't want to hear your ringer. I don't want to hear your Facebook notifications. I don't want to hear your Snapchat notifications. I don't want to hear buzzes and dings. I don't want to hear video from the club. Okay, if you need to talk on the phone and your phone uh, needs to alert you that there's an incoming call and you're going to either turn it off or you're going to answer it, that's fine. But I don't want any of the other phone stuff going on in my car. Okay? But like, let's say that I rated somebody down for that. That person is going to be like, well, what the fuck did I do? You know, they quietly got in the car, they were polite, and then they sat there and ignored me on their phone. And their phone was doing this, that, and the other thing, and that bugs me. But to them, they're just minding their own business. They didn't do anything wrong. It's crazy. Okay? So, it's the same the other way around. Just like they don't tell us what the problem really was, we get a vague, canned email or message. It's the same way with the passengers. So they don't really know either. And they're left with, oh, well, this driver must be an asshole. And then they're going to turn around and give the driver a bad rating back. I don't care what they say. So that's why at this point in the game, I don't rate my passengers. If I had an opportunity to be able to say why I gave them this rating and the passengers were able to get my comment so that they knew what was going on, then I would rate. Until that happens, I have no reason to rate passengers. It's pointless. It puts me in a situation where I can get retaliated against. So I'm not going to do it. Now, as far as patterns with rating, again, like I said, people that have better things to do don't rate drivers. I think that there is a demographic of passengers that rate because they want to be nice and they think it's the right thing to do, and they don't necessarily tip. So for them, by rating the driver, giving the driver a good rating, that's their tip. In fact, I had a passenger say to me one time, "Your tip is 5 stars." You know what? Also at this point in the game, with all the BS, you know what? I'll take 5 stars. Thank you very much. You know, and like I've even thought of starting to say to passengers, "Hey, you know, you guys, you're not obligated to give me a tip, but please do give me 5 stars. Thank you." You know, and I don't feel comfortable soliciting either tips or ratings from passengers. Um, so I'm going to talk about this in another video, what I've done to get my ratings. But when I first started driving for these platforms, I said to my friend, you know, I think the Uber passengers treat me better. And he's like, wow, I think Lyft passengers treat me better. Well, I've come to the conclusion that that is true, because I have all sorts of problems with ratings with Uber drivers or Uber passengers. And what Uber has told me to do basically is, if I see it coming, cancel the ride, which I really would prefer not to do because I can't afford to. You know, this is my time, and every ride I get, I need to get them in the car and get it completed. I don't have time to be not getting paid out there for my time and my work. But it's gotten really frustrating because, you know, it's like there are all these things that I have to look out for, and I have a list of criteria, which I will also do another video on, why I cancel passengers. But I've been struggling to get my Uber ratings up. They got really bad over the summer, and I lost my diamond. I lost my diamond status and got jerked down to gold. And then I kept my gold for a while. And then I ended up going down to blue. So here, I've started to get my ratings up. You can see on this is my other phone. So I'm going to show you. Alright, here's my profile on this phone. Let's not use my middle finger. Although I should, right? Okay, so these are my ratings. Yeah, this is my Uber ratings. Okay, and actually, like, last time I looked at it, which was yesterday or the day before, I was at 4.77, but somebody added in a 4-star. On the good side, I'm getting rid of my 1 ratings, but I'm still having that person that's giving me 4-star that is bringing me back down a point every time I get up to another point. But we're slowly getting there, okay? But can somebody please explain why this is my rating on Uber? But let's go to the other app here. We'll go to my Lyft app. We'll go to my profile. Whoop. Okay. Why do I have a 5.0 on Lyft and a 4.76 on Uber. Okay, why is my rating on Lyft during the time when my rating on Uber dropped to a 4.71? Why was I consistently maintaining over a 4.80 on Lyft? And yeah, that's pretty cool that I have a 5.0 on Lyft, because that's a higher rating than some of the best drivers I know that carry 4.9s. So I'm like really psyched to try to keep it at that. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about what I have done that is getting my Uber ratings up. All right, good night, everybody. Please like and subscribe.